This interview is brought to you in association with Rabobank.
Regional rural support trusts have a long tradition of assisting rural communities in times of need. Recently, a new national body was formed and Neil Bateup was elected its chairman. He joins me now to tell us about it. Neil, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Roger. Good talking to you again.
Neil, it's been a while and you've been busy. National Council, there's 14 of these trusts around the country, but you've come together. Can you give me a bit of detail about the background and what that might achieve?
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and we've now put the National Council in place. And a couple of the things that we're particularly keen on is actually having one point of contact for trusts. If organisations want to talk to trusts, and there are 14 of them, it becomes quite difficult for them. So now with the National Council, we have one point of contact.
Now, it would be fair to say that even if we look more recently, the trusts have been very active. We've had droughts, earthquakes, floods. Particularly in the case of an earthquake, I think that's an interesting case study where people can readily understand what might happen in an urban environment. But can you just talk us through the role of a trust when we're talking about substantial damage to land, to farms?
One of the key things that rural support does is psychosocial support for people who are under stress. And so, it's around making contact with farmers, running events so that farmers can come to those events, maybe have a yarn over a sausage sizzle and share how things are going. So there are a number of things that have been happening in that area. So a lot of door knocking, where trust people have just gone and knocked on doors just to see how people are getting on, to share their support and say, look, if you need a hand, or somebody else, somebody who does need a hand, put your hand up, and we'll see that some support comes for you.
There's an awful lot of agencies that are triggered in that sort of environment. Civil Defence, the Army, Dairy NZ, all sorts of people get involved. Federated Farmers Councils. Do we have a situation where there might be too many people knocking on the door? How do you work with these other agencies to make sure that you can maybe have a more streamlined approach?
It is difficult, especially in an event like that where there's an awful lot of moving parts and an awful lot happening. Having coordination meetings is a big help, and we're probably getting better and better at that. In the Waikato, we've actually set up a primary industry cluster to deal with these adverse events. And we've actually had a couple of trial runs with the floods in Coromandel and Clevedon and around the Matamata, Piako, Hauraki area just recently. And in that situation, we've, as soon as we know there's something happening, have a conference call and bring all of the parties involved in there and develop a plan.
Now, when it comes to the help that people ask when they come to the trust for, is there a typical set of problems? Issues?
No, there are dozens of different problems, but sometimes there's a number of problems sort of in there. People will come for various reasons, maybe financial reasons, maybe relationship issues, and maybe wellness issues, but sometimes they're all actually tied together. And it's tremendous when people do put their hand up and say, hey, we need assistance.
There's a very strong element here of personal help, isn't there? In fact, I think you can call it your wellness program.
Yeah, it is. It's a wellness program, and we've actually had a sort of a dedicated wellness program across the trust for the last 2 years, where trusts have a wellness coordinator and a program of work. But the main thing is being there to support any farmers who need support. Part of the wellness program has been a number of the trusts have run good yarn, what they call good yarn programs, which is around perhaps educating some farm leaders but mainly rural professionals around identifying issues, identifying people with needs, and how to deal with that and where to refer them to. And then when the reference, when people are referred back to the trust, they come in and we can handle it from there.
Yes. What sort of advice do you give to people who are in regular contact with farmers, either because they're farmers themselves or they work servicing that community or otherwise, about, I guess, looking out for people who might be struggling a bit, who might need a bit of help, and how they connect, that person who may be in need of help with a trust and its services?
I think probably the thing to look for is probably changes in behaviour or changes in mood in people. People who are suffering from mental illness or stress often don't sleep, they become moody, perhaps more antisocial, they don't go out to places where they used to go out to. They have difficulty making decisions on the farm, and so often, things aren't being done as they should be. So, and rural professionals can often pick those signs up. If they do, they can either suggest to that farmer that they ring the Rural Support Trust number, or if the farmer's reluctant to do that, ask the farmer if they can ring the trust on their behalf, and ask the trust to contact them. Yep. And generally people agree to that, and we can then make contact.
Right. What is the role, or is there a growing role for social media in terms of how the trust, engages with its communities?
Yeah, I'm sure there is, and I can't speak for every trust, but I know in the Waikato we use Facebook, and we have had occasions where a share milker was looking for somebody to help him drilling some new grass on a farm after some flooding, and a message on Facebook had some assistance there within a very, very short period of time. So it's just another tool, and as younger people get involved in trusts and younger people are on farms and use social media an awful lot, it's a very valuable tool.
Yep. But for the time being, what is the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with the trust is through the 0800 number, 0800 787 254.
Yep. And who will you speak to? Who will be on the other end?
It'll be on the other end. There'll be somebody in each trust who answers that phone, and when you call on that number, it goes to a local person in your area, unless you're calling from a cell phone, in which case you'll go through a menu which will take you to Northland or Waikato or wherever you might happen to live. And somebody will answer that phone, and then we'll listen to what issues you have, and then put a facilitator in touch with you. And that person will either talk to you on the phone, come and sit down and have a cup of tea with you, and just talk through the issues you have. They're not experts in anything, but they're compassionate people, they're empathetic people, they're people who can listen, and they're people with contacts who can sort of analyse what the issue is, and then put those people in contact with somebody who can help them or help set up appointments, whether it's through the medical profession, counsellors, whether it's a farm advisor, some legal advice, but they can actually help walk alongside that person and walk them through the issues that they need to deal with.
Have you got enough of those people?
Yeah, I think all of the trusts have lifted the numbers of people hugely in the last couple of years, and I think we monitor the workload and we monitor the number of people we have, and we bring others on if we need, and we do give them training in recognising mental health issues and how to deal with the particular problems that they come up with.
Is there a particular type of person who's sort of well suited to the role, or do you find that they come from pretty much all walks of life within those communities?
Yeah, probably people, because we're dealing a lot with farmers. It's probably people with a farming background. They don't necessarily have to be farmers, but they have to have been involved in the rural sector. And in the Waikato, we tend to use people who actually have some time available, so they can drop tools and go when they can. So that's often people who are retired or have staff on a farm, so they can just drop tools and go. And
have a bit of flexibility,
Yeah, that flexibility, they haven't got, they're not tied to a particular time. But we do have some other people with particular skills in the team, and we look at what skills we need as well as the time availability. And so it's a complex thing, but I think most of the trusts are well enough resourced, and if they do need more, they do it. We were running in the Waikato with about six or seven people. We now have a bit over 20.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Because the workload lifted over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm
particularly
sure.
with the dairy downturn. It
yes.
was,
Yeah. Look, Neil, it's important work, and we thank you for it, and we wish the new national body the very best of luck, and of course all the separate trusts within it. Thank you very much for your time today, Neil.
Okay, thank you for that.
This interview was brought to you in association with Rabobank.